Simone, firstly, thank you for this opportunity. I'm very grateful for this and to be able to speak to everybody who's actually listening to your podcasts. I'm Dr. Brenda Hattingh. I initially studied as a medical doctor, but then I moved into psychology and business psychology because I wanted to find out how people become truly successful and what it means. I lectured at the university in organizational psychology, but I left the academic world and embarked on starting my own companies. I've got a consulting company, I've got a coaching company, and currently, after this is about 35 years, I'm still going strong. And in the 35 years, I had to frequently reinvent myself, reinvent my business, and then reinvent what entrepreneurship is to be able to work it out in the end. And after 34 years, 35 years, I'm now at that point that I can say I'm starting to arrive.
Thank you very much for that introduction. It's quite interesting, and one thing that I want to share is with this interview, I've been looking forward to it for quite some time. So I'm glad that we actually have the time, because when we had our initial introduction together, you know, I mentioned this to you when you asked me a question, which was you said, I think I remember clearly, you said, so Simon, now that I've told you all of this, what do you think about it? Do you remember that question?
I can remember that. I remember that.
You know, and I was like, from having this conversation with you, on my side, you've brought in that excitement on my side. And to be specific to the listeners, I said you gave me an adrenaline rush. You know, if you remember that clearly, you know.
I can
So
remember. Yes, the
exactly.
question I asked you is, after everything we discussed, and I said to you, Simone, what do you say entrepreneurship is? Can you remember that?
I remember clearly. I remember clearly. So that's why I'm saying I'm going back to that, because I think, to me, that was the first part, or the first start of me realizing how much of a value we will be giving out on this interview. Um, that that's just where it was, because I on my side I just got, or let me just say, I got the fact that on your side you are someone that you if you have a way of sharing your information, which is very rare. And the fact that it is rare, that's just another reason why I want you to share your information, because it's a very powerful way of sharing it. Um, so on your side, Brenna, you spent years, right, as you've mentioned. You spent years studying the science and also the psychology behind success. You know, you just shared this, and that's why I just want to dive into it. um, and from everything that you've learned throughout the years, what's one thing you think most entrepreneurs get wrong about making money?
Okay, Simone, um, when you and I discussed this, we also discussed what the title of this is going to be. Can
Yeah,
you remember that? And I said to you, let's make the title Making Money, How to Become a Successful Entrepreneur. Can you remember that? And I think you're going
yeah,
to use that topic if I'm not mistaken,
yeah,
because people immediately associate entrepreneurship with making money. But I said to you, most people don't know exactly what entrepreneurship is. They don't know what money and the science and psychology behind money is, and then they don't know how to make it work. So it's a lack of understanding, a lack of it's basically just ignorance, and then they dive in. And I'll tell you why I've got the passion and an excitement, and of course the adrenaline you and I have been sharing, is that I work in townships, I work in different places. I also work in businesses on high-level CEO Fortune 500 companies, that our youth needs a chance to bring in their power and potential. And I was astounded at the thinking what our young people have concerning money, the future. Not only are they ignorant with all of the people that I've been working with, but delusional. Now, delusion means having this very big, exciting idea, and I'm going to become a millionaire, and then I'm going to save the world. It sounds very nice, but it's totally, totally unrealistic and impractical. So, and that's why I'm staying working in the townships with young people there. You asked me the question about entrepreneurship. So when you get to a point where you and I am now, I told you we can waffle a lot of nice words. Can you remember we spoke
Yeah.
about waffling? And I think the words we used was wara, wara, wara.
Yeah.
And it sounds very nice, but it's got no substance. It's just a lot of noise, and it's got no value. And we go and try and impress each other with all these waffle words. I've learned, and I've been working specifically in Mamelodi for the last 9, 10, 15 years. With the people I have there, it's a way of escaping circumstances to make all these waffle stories. Meaning we have to get real. We have to get to the facts and the truth. And entrepreneurship is one of the ways. But you must know what it is. An entrepreneur is a person or a group of persons. I lecture to the MBA students at a university, and we use the example of entrepreneurship for Bill Gates and Steve Jobs. They were two young people in their second year at Harvard University, and they just realized, listen, we know more than what these academics are. And they got out, but they had this vision. Bill Gates's vision was one day every person on the planet is going to have a PC. And they went to 18 different banks to get loans, and everybody told them that they were crazy. Guess who are the richest people on the world? These are the people who could run with an idea. Now, that sort of sets a benchmark that the young people think, oh, I'm going to get rich and a millionaire. And they even say this without actually knowing what it means. So, an entrepreneur is a person or a group of persons like Bill Gates and Steve Jobs who have a vision, an idea that they would like to better the world for the people out there. And for that, the people will pay them. And that's where the money comes in. Meaning that if you want to become an entrepreneur, you first have to go through all those first steps before you get the money. And our young people think that money's got this magic wand, and it's going to change my life. Money makes life easier. Doesn't make you happy or successful. Meaning that the time has come. And for all your podcast listeners, I must say, I agreed to this podcast talk to bring the information to you so that we can start creating a real community of real entrepreneurs, not just a lot of fly-by-nights that are waffling around. And with all these ideas, I'm going to get to be a millionaire, and it has to be realistic, and it has to make a difference on the ground where the tacky hits the tar. So I'm going to repeat. You asked me what's an entrepreneur. It's a person or persons with a dream of an idea, not of firstly becoming millionaires, but having this dream of delivering a service to people out there that can better their lives. And for that, they will be paid. And then you must first go for those steps. Does that make it a bit clear? Because we can break it down a bit more to outline those steps so that people don't fall into the rabbit hole of just being a delusional waffling around with all these fancy words that they use.
Yeah, so I think we can try to break it down.
Okay. Let's break it down into steps. And I will use examples so that there are people that can identify with this. The first step is the person, whoever this person is. It could be within your age range of your listeners. You've got youths from 18 to 25. Then there's a lot in between. And then you've got an older group of after 60. Those are people that maybe are looking to retire. Meaning that there are two kinds of thinkers here. The one thing is I've got my whole life before me, and I want to build a career on my ideas or what I have. And then I also want to make money because it's a business. That's what it's supposed to be. In your cash flow in the end is like the blood flow through your body. And if there's a problem with your cash flow, then you don't have a business. And on the other side, we have got maybe a group of people who are already gone through that process, but they would like to make extra money that could pay for whatever, can upgrade a new car or a holiday or something like that. So who this person is will then determine what they actually want to do with their idea. So that brings us to the next step. This idea comes from two spaces. The one space is we've got two parts in ourselves. We've got an authentic self with a God-given gift that actually we have to bring to the world. Then we've got a shadow ego self that comes from fear and destruction and anger and pain. And they just want to make money so they can get, they'll feel better about themselves. Two totally different motivation systems. Because if people come from ego and you want to make quick fixes and go the quick road and to make money so that you can feel better, it takes you just a little part, but it's like going to the garage and filling up your car and it's only got a few liters of gas ink and then you fall out of the bus. Meaning that you have to know where you are coming from, because where you are coming from will determine where you are going. I want to give you an example where this is concerned. A father contacted me one day and he said to me, if I would speak to his son that is now in grade 11, that was last year, and he decided he's not going to go finish grade 11. He doesn't want to finish matric. He is going to become an entrepreneur. And his father's very upset about this because he feels a matric will take him further. And that's true. A matric is now your key to open a greater and a wider future. So when he came, I asked him, what do you want to do? And he said to me, he made the sums of how many people on the planet Earth wear T-shirts. So he wants to create T-shirts, and he is going to do it with artificial intelligence, with nice little pictures on the front and the back, and you can design this, and then he's going to become a millionaire. I mean, let's be realistic. So I had to break it down for him why he is doing this. And he said to me, he's doing this because his mother and father are on the brink of a divorce, and it's been a lot of noise and fighting and everything And the moment he can make some money, he just wants to get out of the house. Can you see that kind of motivation is not the sound foundation for a business? So I had to take him through the process, the importance of education. Because if you are educated and you have learned the things you should lose, those are little keys that open different doors to different places. And becoming an entrepreneur also means that you have to have a clear vision of who you are and what your contribution is to the world. For example, Bill Gates and also Steve Jobs, they had the vision that a PC in everybody's household will make life easier. Do you think that's a positive goal?
It is a very positive goal. It is a very
Yes,
positive
now,
one.
what do you think about and we're talking about PCs, but that then evolved into cell phones, that you can do everything on your cell phone, meaning that they were prepared then to leave, but they did their homework at school. They got credentials that they could go to university. Today, the university is taking what they brought and making that the courses that they're giving to the students. So they had this incredible vision. I want to give you my example about organizational development of business, of people. And I'm talking about more than 35 years ago. I wrote and I studied, and I never had any money to study. So I took 5 jobs to be able to pay for my studies. And everybody in South Africa said to me, "Woman, you crazy. What are you thinking about?" A holistic integrated to leadership, business, health, wealth, and people then being able to flourish. The only person who heard that was Nelson Mandela. And I was appointed under the leadership of Nelson Mandela that was in 1990, to be able to help with the transformation of South Africa at a very difficult time. And that, of course, opened the doors for businesses and companies and organizations that I then could be of service to. Just listen to the word, to be of service to. Because I had the experience that the doors were open. And for that, they would pay me money. Now it is 35 years later, and I needed to reinvent myself, meaning that that specific service that our entrepreneurs out there are thinking about and are passionate about, it also has a specific time. Like this young grade 11 boy, he was totally out of sync with, it's all over the world. Nobody is excited about people making T-shirts now. But he was clutching to this because that was his ticket, he thought, out of a difficult family situation. I find this in our townships, where young people are clutching to and dream a delusional idea of what will make them happy, but they don't do what needs to be done to make it come true. So the first thing is the person. The second thing is the vision. The third thing is that vision must be able and useful in the world out there, whatever it may be. And you have to test this. You have to go online and make sure that what you are bringing to the world is needed by the people out there. And you must make sure that you have the skills and the tools to make that happen. I want to share a story with you, if I can, unless you've got other questions.
No, you can. You can.
On Monday, I had this wonderful conversation with a young man, and I hope he's going to listen to this, because he represents hundreds of thousands, even of millions of people out there who are thinking entrepreneurship is a certain quick fix to making money and becoming a millionaire. And what happened is the seatbelt of my car broke. So he is in charge of the car, that's a place that services my car. He's in the parts department. So I had to go and order this. And while he's ordering for me, I said to him, could you please just tell me what the timeline is, because I have to manage my time. How long will it take for you to receive the part? How long will it take for you to fix my car? I need to put that in my diary. And he was sort of, what are you talking about? And I said to him, it's time management. So a day later, he phoned me to say the part had arrived. And he said to me, ma'am, you flabbergasted me with your language that you use about time management and effectivity and creativity and things like that, and business and entrepreneur and do you mind answering some of my questions? So I put it in my diary that I could go and visit him when he was in his lunch, and they fixed my car. So we were sitting there, and I asked him, what's your vision? No, he wants to become a entrepreneur. I said to him, oh, that's wonderful. What are you going to do? He says, no, first, he's going to find a solution for AIDS because his mom has got AIDS. The second thing, he's going to become a millionaire because he loves business. And the third thing is that he's going to open a what are these internet cafes, because he sees the matric students are finding it difficult because they don't all have access to computers. So I said to him, okay, how many of those things that you are doing and saying sounds wonderful, but I'm not here for you to impress me. At the moment, you are working and you are at the head of the sales department. What do you do at home? He says, no, he works. At home, he's got a girlfriend. And then further, he plays games on the internet. So what he's saying, and his vision and the entrepreneur is those words that you and I said, from the waffle and the wara wara and the millionaire. And what he's doing are not coinciding in terms of to make it. In other words, the right person with the right idea, the right vision, focused on the right people, but then you have to do the right things right. And in the process, you have to assess each of the steps that you have, meaning you must be focused on what you want to do. And most of our people don't know how to focus their energy. Yes, there's a formula for that, and I can maybe share it if the people are interested. But entrepreneurship means that you are actually being a groundbreaker, and you're actually a leader in whatever you want to do versus working in a company and organization. And many people I work with that are in companies and organizations, and this is what I'm going to do with this guy. While he is working here at the parts department, I'm going to help him to do things that are realistic. He won't, and it's not necessary for him to get the AIDS a solution because it's got 50 years of research behind it. He doesn't have the resources to do that. But that's that waffle, the pie in the sky, and it sounds good, and I'm a good son, and I'm going to impress everybody. It's going nowhere. And I'm sorry if I pop people's bubbles, but the moment you get real with your feet on the ground, then you can make things happen. Otherwise, it just stays a pie in the sky. And the result is, if you do the right things right, and people in the end can see what you are delivering as a service, just like you, Samanya, you're a very bright young man, delivering a service, then they'll be able to pay for that, but not beforehand. Money doesn't fall out of the sky. Yes, and that's my medium to a long-winded version of an entrepreneur.
And thank you very much for going in depth, because I think that is very important. for the fact that you went in, you shared that information, I think that on its own is powerful. And hopefully, he listens to this podcast interview. You know, and now just something that um, I just want to try and make sure that I got correctly from your side, and just so that also the listeners maybe could have a summary of it. So on your side, what you're basically mentioning is you need to have the right mindset when you're getting into this. You should not say you want to change the world, you want to be the next Elon Musk, but at the end of it all, you are just you're not doing something that resonates to that thing that you're trying to do. Your mindset, you need to change your mindset. It needs to be, if you want to get into entrepreneurship, you need to change how you think. You need to constantly keep on learning. Is that maybe, did I hear you the right way?
Yes.
Was
You've sort of got that on the nail. It's a certain kind of person with a certain kind of mindset, but also a kind of set of values that make it in the end. Because you say you can have this idea, and I want to use again Bill Gates and Steve Jobs. When they went to the banks, nobody understood what they were saying. When I went to the businesses initially and to the academics, they didn't understand what I was saying. But there are certain people that would buy into this. Now, what happened is that you have to keep and be focused on your vision. But there are always stumbling blocks, and those stumbling blocks to get there is time, money, and expertise. You have to get money to get your business started. So who's going to give you that money? If the banks don't want to give you the money because your business plan doesn't make sense, then you've just got a pie in the sky. What happened in Bill Gates and Steve Jobs' case, they started Microsoft in their parents' garage. And their parents, in the end, allowed them to work there. And they first created the first computers and everything that Microsoft sells today. So you already need to have something. So now, if it's okay with you, I would like to talk to you about making money.
Yeah.
So what's money? And this is important because people have made sort of a god of money. If it comes in and it's going to take you out and make the world or what have you. Money is the result of a product or a service you deliver to somebody else that needs that. And if you like, we can present a workshop, making money,
Okay.
making ends meet, on the science and psychology behind money and what money means. Because we must know initially in humanity, there wasn't money. What there was is you will be a farmer and you'll be farming with chickens and animals, and I would be one planting the vegetables and the corn. Then I will come with my vegetables and you would come with your poultry, and then it's the exchange. Meaning money is a symbol of the value of your exchange. And now people want money, but they've got nothing to put there to exchange for. And what they put there, they're not sure if they've got people that need it or want it because they don't go and do the research beforehand. And we know by example, because I work with banks, they will go through your business plan because they can give you startup money and things like that. more than 75, rather more than 85 of startup companies, meaning entrepreneurs, fail. Because now they get a little bit of money and now they want to look swanky and they buy a new car and they get fancy shoes and the watch and the, and sharp and the fancy. In the end, they erode and then they shoot themselves in the foot because they erode their financial flow. Meaning, an entrepreneur is a person with a certain mindset that can stay focused and will be prepared to walk alone because they believe in their product or their service. The second thing is that they are prepared to develop that product and service. You and I spoke and you said to me, it took you 3 years to get this business of yours because you were thinking other people were going to support you. People don't. And the reason is not that they don't love you. It's not their vision and it's not their job. And then you get despondent and say, yes, why is nobody helping me? You have to help yourself. And this is where entrepreneurs fall out of the race, that they don't have this inner consistency and driving force. They just think, oh, if I'm going to make money now, then I'm going to look smart and everybody thinks I'm grand. That's the ego. And the ego always leads to destruction. Again, the next point is make sure your product and your service is relevant for that specific time and also for your target audience. Go and have a look who your target audience is. Go and have a look like this guy with the t-shirt. He went and he said, my target audience is everybody on planet Earth. That's 8 billion people because everybody on planet Earth wear t-shirts. I'm going to make a lot of money. The next question is, how many other people are doing what I'm doing? And if you think that you're going to make a t-shirt and put all those other guys out of business, then you're delusion. But his problem with the t-shirts wasn't the t-shirts and his business, is that he wanted to get out of his circumstances. And the only way you get out of difficult circumstances, you learn and you work out of it. You don't run away and create waffling and pies in the sky. You see, because even if you get, and Elon Musk is one of the richest persons on the planet, people think if I've got lots of money, then I won't have the problems I have now. That's not true. Elon Musk has a problem because his space junk is falling on very big islands in the Pacific Ocean. He has to go and clean it up. So if you're in a small world or a big world or small money or big money, you must learn to be able to have that inner resilience and sustainability to keep on going. And don't give your power away. And this is why I've written 4 books, I think, about power intelligence. You have to be smart. You don't have to work hard. You have to work smart with your product and your service and your clients. Then you have to know how to package this. And in what package will your client in the end be able to resonate with you? And after all that work, all those steps of getting over those barriers, people will give you the money. How many people do you think that are entrepreneurs know the steps of being an entrepreneur and have got the staying power to see it through, and then in the end realize that being an entrepreneur is being a service provider, and then therefore you get the money and not a money maker initially.
You know, just to add to what you're saying, sorry to cut you there. Apologies. Uh, and this it's just a matter of me asking you about someone. Do you know Willem Gos?
No. Maybe if I think longer, I will get there, but no.
Oh, okay. Uh, the reason I'm asking you this, we've had him on the podcast, and he also helps in communities in is also in Gauteng also at the very same time, and basically just a bit about what you shared. I think it's something that he also tried to get into. Now, while I was listening to you, I was like, there's no way that you do not know Willem Goos. I thought maybe you knew each other or something. But sorry to have cut you
I
there.
know from the post, my hearing was it. Yes, I know it. And he does entrepreneurship as well in the
In the
in
townships.
yes, in the townships as well.
Oh, you know him.
We know each other, but it looks as though we're sharing the same philosophy. I mean, it's not a direct communication. And that makes me excited, Samanya, because the moment we get to the truth, then we can make a difference on the ground
Hmm.
so that we can change that mindset that you were, that you were talking about. Yes, my question to you is, what is your goal with this Power podcast presentation for your audience out there?
Sorry, can you repeat
What
that
is
question again?
your goal, your aim with this podcast
Oh, the
pre
goal. Okay.
Mm.
Sorry to cut you there. Now I understand. So the goal with these podcasts, it is the first one. Let me start with this podcast. The goal with this podcast, I think I did share it with you, but just to share it with everyone, it is that on my side, I think I mentioned when I started, I did not have mentors. I did not have that type of people that should say you need to start a business to be able to learn from their mistakes and to learn what to do and what not to do. So on my side, immediately when I got to a point where I started having mentors, I started having uh, people that most people know about, having conversations with me, getting on conversation, talking about business. So getting those people that are now actually at that point where they're assisting me, sharing information with me. I was like, if I have these people in my network, these people they have done this, they can share the information. There's a lot of people that have also done it and they can share the information. Why don't I just create something where we share that information? So that was the first goal of it for me. All in all, it wasn't for the money, because for this podcast I do not get paid for it. It's basically I don't get paid for it, so it's not about the money. And then the second thing was, and I shared this. I think it's going to be the second time I'm sharing this. It is that that within my other company, we are donating into uh, a I don't know. Let me just say a cause where we're building villages. The plan is to build villages all over the country. Some sort of an orphanage, but it's of course a village, because it's going to have it's going to be a home for people that do not have homes, for people that don't have families. We bring them together. We're giving them um, it's gonna have a school. It's gonna have a home. It's gonna have sports grounds, music rooms, halls, and it's gonna be on a farm. Basically, we're looking at purchasing a 200 hectares at this point. You know, so the second reason for this, it is I want to bring more awareness to this. So that we as entrepreneurs, we can come together and we can make this possible. Because on my side, I believe that there are a lot of people that have a lot of potential, a lot of people that can make things happen within South Africa and within all over the world actually. But sometimes it is just and yeah, it's sometimes it's just a matter of giving those people the right resources, you know like for instance, there are people that are staying in the streets not because they have an option, but they don't have anyone that they can rely on. Now, if you could give those people resources, though they could do something that is, they could be that next person that could bring the next invention. It
Exactly. The Elon Musks and the Bill Gates
exactly
of, yes.
exactly.
Yes,
So
that's wonderful, Simone. And I'm sorry to get in there. I would just to
no problem.
highlight also for your listeners is that this is entrepreneurship, or the basics is being of service with your product and your services, whatever that may be, while the usual mindset is quick fix money making so I can get out of my and
Situation.
the reason I am picking up on what you've now said of, and this is wonderful, the villages and what have you, but not everybody is there. There's people that are further advanced who are in work situations that are maybe retiring that also listen to this podcast of yours that also would like to go into an entrepreneurship kind of something, maybe full-time, or something, even if they're in a full-time job, to do that sideline. And when it grows, then leave the job and then go into their business that they have also grown. I would like to come back to what you have said. You are doing this in terms of the villages and the townships, and that's very commendable. But there are many other places you can be of service. And I'm mentioning this specific that we don't just talk to and about our townships, because I think your audience is much wider than that. Let me give
Sure.
you an example. This person contacted me. They researched me on LinkedIn. They had a look at my information on my website, and they contacted me and say, listen, I've got a lot of contacts in the businesses, and I would like to be of service to spread your message. And I said, well, that's wonderful. I pay a finder's fee for that. Meaning this person is also an entrepreneur. You don't always have to be outside a company or an organization. It is delivering a service or a product. And yes, and this I have. I also got, and I do training in companies, and this person opened the doors to the HR manager that went to the CEO. And I am training their companies on rewriting organizational DNA. I've got a contract, and that person gets a finder fee, and we agreed on a certain percentage of that. Now, what is also important, now I'm just using examples. I mean, there's many other things that we can do to be an entrepreneur and then to make money, is that I'm an international speaker. So one of the ladies is a secretary, and that she does the organizational conferences, and, she's the organizational lady. And she phoned me also one day, and she said to me, listen, I'm going to book you as a keynote speaker for our company. But other people, because I've got all the information, and here you must understand that you don't always have a position, that you have a product or a service. You've also got the right connections and the right information. And she said to me, I've got this information of how to do companies and organizations, and I would love them to hear your message. And I said, if you get and we sign a speaker opportunity at a company event or whatever, you get a finder's fee. Oh, that's wonderful. And so now she still does her work at her company, but now she's also doing this on the sideline. And that is how we help and support each other. It's not just one thing like becoming a millionaire with a lot of t-shirts or something like that. It's creative, innovative thinking and seeing opportunities of bringing connection and together. And for that, you get paid, and therefore you can do whatever you want with your extra money that comes in. So my summary, to get back to the whole thing of entrepreneurship, it's a kind of person that is active and creative thinking, that is thinking outside the box and sees opportunities, products, services, information, connections, even in the business world. Let me give you an example. One of my sons is an architect, and they were looking for some ground that he wanted to build, that they had to build for their clients something. And somebody came to them and said they heard just outside the townships there was a piece of ground that was available. And their company, the architect company, said to them, well, they'll do a survey, and they went and had a look. And before he could see, here he gets a finder's fee coming back to him. And I mean, that's another way of looking at entrepreneurship, of where you in the right position with the right connections, the right information. And it's not always a product and a service. It's being at the right time, at the right place with the right things. And that's how we help each other. And for your effort, you get paid. And that's how you make money.
That is very powerful. That is very powerful. You've brought something forward that I believe not a lot of people actually do. So this was one of the reasons why I needed you on the podcast. This is one of the reasons I need you on the podcast. So I'm just glad that this is happening. And also you've developed something, and you just spoke about it right now. It is a power intelligence success profile, right? Please let me know. Yeah. And this it actually helps people to figure out if they have what it takes to succeed, right?
Exactly. I think when we, Simanya, I think, excuse me, you and I discussed that I'm prepared to give to every listener access to do the power intelligence success profile. And the question is, do you have the energy to be successful? Because you can't decide to go on a trip from A to B, but there's no gas in your tank. It's just a lot of waffle in your head. And this assessment tool will show you if you have it or not. But what the assessment tool also does, if your tank is low, it will show you how to build up your resources. That's only one of the steps. There's many others, and maybe we can have a workshop that we can have in the morning for 3 hours or something like that, of exactly point to point the steps of being entrepreneur, of identifying your goals, of breaking it down to action steps that you can implement immediately on this path. Meaning that instead of going looking for coaches to coach you with these skills and tools that we can give to the listener audience, they can start, and they need to start coaching themselves. And just need to know where to find the right information.
Okay. I think that is something that we should definitely look into. By that I mean the workshop, because I think it would be of value. Now, with it's the PISP, right? Yeah. So we did have a conversation about this, as you've mentioned. Now, I believe the link, we're gonna leave it down below, right? So that they can be able to test it out and have a look at it.
Yeah.
And it's
So
also available the moment this goes out. Then I will also have them put it on my website, brendahattingh.com, and they can go and have a look there. And maybe there's some listeners now that would also like a referral fee, and rewriting organizational DNA or speaking opportunities to get the message out there. And for that, it's maybe a phone call or two, you get paid. And the Power Intelligence Success Profile, PISP, will then give you an indication if you have got the energy. I just call it if you've got the fuel in your tank to see this entrepreneur through. And if it's low, then you have to fill up, just like on a journey that you've got maybe from here to there, but then you must fill up again and then go from there to there. And this I have found in my life, Samanya, that I have to fill up and redesign and reinvent myself over the last 35 years, so many times. Yes, and there's still so much to do and look forward to into the future.
yeah. And thank you very much for sharing that. And one thing that I have to say to the listeners, I need them to realize that today we have an OG with us, because because you've been in the game for quite some time, and it's very impressive, it's very impressive. Uh, now one thing that I just want to ask you, because I'm also looking at the time. I remember that we scheduled only an hour. Now I'm realizing that we must be taking away time from your side. So let me just try to ask you this, which is, now let's just say we have someone that is listening to this podcast right now. This person is feeling stuck, maybe their business isn't growing, or they're always stressed about money, right? If they could only do three things starting today, that could turn things around, what would you tell them to do?
Okay, I would like to tell them, Samanya, and you can, I want to share something with you, because then you can decide if you want to keep it or you want to cut it out. It's the 3 R's of success: revealing, reversing, and restoring. And what you are talking about is being stuck now. So I want to give you an example as a case study. There were people, but they are in London somewhere. They wanted to buy an old castle that they wanted to turn into a training center for their young people. And they, of course, it were entrepreneurs. And there are many of these old castles that are, all dilapidated and all falling to pieces there. And they had this excitement that they would build it up, and there were places for the horses, and they would make that into rooms, and then they would be able to house their students. And I think the story was that there were 300 at that stage, 300,000 pounds, English pounds, and they saved enormously for this money. And this castle or this place was going to be on a filing. They were going to auction this off. And nobody was interested, so they didn't worry about competition. And when they went the day to go and actually to this, because that was their price, 5 minutes before the auction closed, a man came in and put in 50,000 more pounds and bought it out from under them, and their whole thing fell flat. And now they were thinking, we went through this planning, and I'm going to give our people who are stuck, I'm going to give them the smart formula how to get out being stuck. But you have to understand this. And they didn't know what to do. And what happened is that this man and their wife, they didn't have children, had ridden past this, and she fell in love with the castle. They didn't have children. He had a lot of money, and he bought the castle for her because she wanted to restore it and then put it into a B&B, and they did. Now they're sitting and say, I had the vision, we were going to do this, and that was the revealing. Suddenly they got stuck here, and it was reversing. All of their business went into reverse, and they can't understand this. They're not making money, they're not getting to their vision, and that's what you call stuck. And then they started looking for other places, but their hearts were already invested. And this is something that power intelligence teaches us, to think with your heart. And if your heart is angry and what have you, you can't be successful. That's not success energy. You have to change your heart and your mind. So they decided back to the drawing board. So I would suggest to your people, or to the people who are stuck, go back to the drawing board and revisit your vision of what you want to do, how you want to do it, and set goals. And the moment they start reinventing themselves, they got a call. Now, this is 18 months after the auction, and the man bought this for his wife. He phoned them and he said to them, listen, do you guys still want the castle? I'll even sell it to you for the price that you had, that was 3,000 English pounds. But in the meantime, they had fixed everything. They had fixed the electricity and the water and the plumbing, and she was somebody into garden, and she had fixed the garden and the rooms and everything there. But what had happened, she had become sick, and she died within 2 weeks. And he didn't know what to do with the castle. So he basically gave it back to them. And that is the phase of restoring, the 3 R's. Revealing, reversing, but it gets restored on a much higher level. Here, they got exactly the same castle, also for the same price, but everything was already fixed. And they could just move in and they could go further. Meaning, don't get despondent when you are stuck. It could be that your vision is just for a time, and the divine universe of God works in mysterious ways, that the universe knew that these young guys they've got such this wonderful idea, but they didn't have the money to buy the castle and then still renovate the castle. So it just took a round tour, and somebody who had the money actually fixed it. And then I just gave it back to them. Now, that's just one of the stories. I would like to share, and maybe people can write this down in the end, of the SMART analysis of getting out, being stuck. The first thing that you have to do, that you have to make sure that your goal, what you are working with, is specific. Like these girls, they knew they wanted the castle. And the aim is that you have gone into the SMART, and I've written it down here so that we can understand it. The aim is that you can actually measure this. These guys who wanted to buy this castle could measure it in the price, but they also did a cost evaluation of whatever you're going to do is, in the end, what's it going to cost you? Just to get your product, just to get your service out there. For these guys that phone me to say, okay, we want a referral fee, it's going to cost them a call that they don't even maybe just use them on the cell phone. But for the guy that is working at the parts department who wants to actually go and save his mom from AIDS, I mean, then that's not the smart way to look at this kind of thing. You must also go for the A. The A means is what you have, does it apply to the needs of the people? Now, this guy said to me, he had tears in his eyes, the suffering his mom's going through with the AIDS. So he wants a solution for AIDS. I mean, that doesn't apply. It's a child's heart, and he wants to soften his mom's suffering. But what he wants to do is not applicable to what the need is at the moment. The pain must be lessened and so you have to be open-headed where this was concerned. So the first thing is set your goals and make your goals specific. If it is that you want to buy a castle, focus on that and do what needs to be done. Don't have all the things all over the way, because then you actually diversify your attention. And there's a thing that says, where the attention goes, the energy flows. And whatever you focus on and pay attention to grows. So be single-mindedly on what you focus on. For example, Formula One racing car drivers have incredible speeds. And they have to keep that car on the road, because if they lose the concentration for one moment, it could be the end of them. Maintaining focus, but not just random focus. Focus on your goal. Just break it down into little pieces. The second one is make sure that it's relevant. Make sure that it is going to make a difference, that it's just not a pie in the sky. You know that you can't reach this in the end. And that it's measurable for you can know, I'm moving from here to here. And you've got a list of little tick boxes, 1 and 2 and 3. Because at this stage, one can become very despondent and depressed. And then you throw everything out. You can think those guys who wanted to buy the castle, how disappointed and depressed they came. But they didn't leave their program and just say, oh, well, it's over, goodbye, and go off. They actually started then with a new plan, and a better plan was given to them in the end. The R is to make it relevant. Okay. Like this guy with the T-shirts, it's waffle and pie in the sky. It's not relevant to give up a whole school career because he's going to be a millionaire on T-shirts. It sounds nice, but it's not. That's the R. Are what you are doing relevant? But here's an important thing. Is it relevant for the right time? I have been working on my work for 25 years, and I thought I'll be well away a long time ago. But I had to learn the revealing, the reversing, and the restoring. I was in the reversing stage for 25 years. Nelson Mandela knew he had a God-given calling to be a leader in a country. Guess what happened? It was totally reversed. He was in jail for close on 28 years. And in the reversing, you have to know who you are. Get over anxiety. Get over the anxiety to make money. Do something else. I mean, go and wash cars or plant a garden, so that when that time comes, you are ready. Because when you are a real entrepreneur, it's coming from your heart and soul, the service that you are bringing. The moment Nelson Mandela was released from prison, his whole calling, that I do believe was a calling from God, was restored, and he was president just for 4 years. And he said he's not going to do more than 4 years. I know for a fact. I've also gone through these stages. And now, for the last 2 or 3 years, nationally and internationally, the doors are open, because although the relevance for you at that stage looks right, the world out there is not always ready for the product or the service or whatever that you're going to bring. And then you must have patience, but you must also have alternative resources, meaning the SMART. And the timing is very important. And maybe some of the listeners out there have got something wonderful and they feel stuck. And they think, oh, if somebody will give me $1 billion, then I'll be able to make it work. And, or nobody's helping me. That's possible, but maybe it's just the timing. And if you do the PISP that we are going to provide the link for, sometimes it's just a blockage within yourself. And I want to share something with you before we end off, Samanya.
Okay.
I work in businesses and they package their products to speak to the ego. Oh, you're going to be smart and you're going to get rich quickly and what have you. And most people think that's reality. But there's no specific purpose behind this. And purpose is a driving force. It is the why. Let me give you an example. And if you like, we can add this link for people who not even are entrepreneurs yet. That a company came to me, they sell health foods. And they said to me, Brenda, if you can open the doors and we can present these health foods. So they sent me a video. That is their video, but it's an ego video. You can sell these health foods and then you're going to make so much money. You can buy a new car and I just realized to myself, they don't realize what a wonderful service these health foods are, because this is what people need. And they never touched on the benefits of the product. So what many of our entrepreneurs do, they go and put their wonderful product into a lot of expensive packaging. And they sell the packaging, but not the why and the meaning and the purpose of the package inside that. And that's what our people must be aware of. Why? Because once you've got your client, you must keep them because you worked hard to get them. And if you keep on selling them packagings and wara without actually having substance, then you're never going to build a client base that actually builds your business. And that secures an income that in the end, your business will be able to drive itself. But in the beginning, you have to do the right things right.
Okay, that is very powerful. That is very powerful. I have to mention that, because for a person that is feeling stuck, I think if you are at that point, now you have the solution to the problems that you've been having. Just because you are facing that problem, it doesn't mean that you should quit. But at the very same time, it does not mean that it's things are not going to turn around. As Brenda has mentioned, sometimes the world has a way of doing things. God has his own way of doing things that you will not be able, you will never understand it. So all that matters is if you believe that much into it. And at the same time, she also mentioned something, which was you also need to look at, does the market need this thing? Don't say that you're gonna be a billionaire with t-shirts, that you're gonna just put a sticker on and then you just sell them. You need to be realistic with what you're doing. Does the market need this? If the market needs this, you need to make sure that you work on this thing. And there's something that I tend to hear a lot, Brenda, and you touch a bit on this, and I'm also looking at the time. Sorry for this. There is now the influence entrepreneurs which tend to say that you need to work smart, not hard.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can
Now,
I give?
okay.
Sorry for interrupting you, because I
No
want
problem.
we say those words, but how does it work?
Exactly
How
what I
does it
wanted.
work? You want to know? Are you asking me how does work smart and not hard work?
Yeah, so I was asking two questions. That's the first one. And then the second one is, Uh, do you believe that you need to work smart only and not work hard? Those are the two questions that I wanted to ask you.
Thank you for that question, because I think it's important. In a generation and in my community, you have to work hard and you must suffer and you must struggle. Then it actually says to you, you're doing something worthwhile. Now, in all my years in the academic world, in business, it's a wrong perception. And working smart and working hard, to me, you ask my opinion, are mutually exclusive kind of principle. Working smart means that you've sat down and you have designed your work process, thinking through, having your business plan, deciding what it is you want to do, what you want to get out of it. In other words, business is not business if there's not money. Otherwise, it's just going to be charity. But you have to balance that off with a service and whatever is a service or product that you. So if you've got that plan, then you can take it step for step. I'm an intuitive business person, so I rely on my intuition a lot and things that come over my path. When you work hard, for me, it's always accompanied with struggle and pushing and pulling. Now, I would like to explain this to you. This is a scientific fact. E equals MC squared. E is the energy you put in to the product that you get out. So if you say work hard, working smart, you put in this energy and you expect to get that out. But it's MC squared, and M is always resistance. C squared is the speed of light. In other words, when you work smart, you want to put the right energy in with the right force, alleviate resistance, so that you can actually go through your processes with the speed of light. So what Einstein said, he said, if I work hard, in other words, if I put in force, that's my energy plus force, then I never get more than what I did. What happens is the resistance comes in, and then you are pressing against yourself all the time. And then you think, oh, I must struggle and I must overcome this. So my opinion is hard is counterproductive, because you're always under pressure all the time. I would like to take the term hard out and put the word consistency in. In other words, when things are getting tough, you don't pressure. Because the moment you pressure yourself, you run into resistance. If you pressure other people, you run into resistance. It's a natural fact. The moment you get there, take a nice deep breath, let go, relax, and then come back again. And then revisit this with another way of thinking, meaning working smart, efficiently, effectively, but consistently gives you the flow to take you towards success.
Okay.
Does that help?
It definitely helps. Thank you very much for that. It was very powerful. And especially the consistent part, because I think you may work smart, you may work hard, but if you are not consistent, then it tends to cost you in the long run. Because if you cannot be consistent with something that you believe will get you to where you are supposed to get to, how will it actually, how will it in return turn into something that you can be able to say, this is my empire, this is something that, this is a legacy that I'm building, if you cannot be consistent with it? So I think it is very powerful. Thank you very much for sharing that. Now, for people that want to get a hold of you, people that want to get in touch with you, where can they find you, and what can they, is there something that they can actually take from you, or is there something that they can utilize from you in terms of learning and getting knowledge from you? Is there some sort of a place that you have, something like that?
Thank you, Simone. They can go to my website. It's brendahattingh.com. On my website, after we close off now, I'm going to put a special Simone podcast for you there. My email address is on there, so they can email me directly with any questions. And of course, we spoke earlier about reference fees. If there's training courses, leadership, rewriting organizational DNA, and also speaking appointments about success and entrepreneurship, and that referral fee in, I will pay it with love. And they just need to email me. My email address is going to be there. But as I said to you in the beginning, I will also put a link there so everyone can do their Power Intelligence Success profile that answers the question, do you have the right energy to be successful? Like your gas on your car, if it's in the red, you first have to go and fill up before you can take your journey. And then, of course, there are one or two links for people who are interested in starting a business. I think I mentioned it about there are people that are looking for people to actually be able to sell their healthcare products. And I think that's also going to be there. You can just have a look, and then, of course, you can also contact me on LinkedIn, and then we can join hands and forces to make the world a flourishing place.
Thank you very much. And to everyone, I will leave the links down below. So make sure you go and check out those links. That's where you'll be able to get everything on Brenda Hattingh. So with everything said, thank you very much for being part of the podcast. And I'm looking forward to possibly having a part 2 with you, in the next coming months or something like that.
That'll be wonderful. Thank you, Simone. And this has been a privilege. And yes, I really admire all the young people out there are literally taking life by the horns and going for it, because it's an exciting journey. So thank you very much to you too.